You're listening to The Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Heat index
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
At the Olympics, U.S. women's gymnastics team won gold in the team final in dominant fashion. Simone Biles getting her 5th career Olympic gold medal. In baseball, the trade deadline came and went. 31 total trades, but no big names were dealt. The Dodgers made the biggest splash, adding starting pitcher Jack Flaherty from the Tigers. On the field, Yankees beat the Phillies 7-6 in 12 innings. New York knocking off the NL East leaders, thanks in part to Jazz Chisholm, who was picked up recently. He had 2 homers and drove in 5. Orioles beat the Blue Jays 6-2. Baltimore still a half game up on New York for first in the AL East. Dodgers were up 5-0 on the Padres on the road, end up losing 6-5 in 10 innings as San Diego moves 5.5 back of LA in the NL West race. Pirates beat the Astros 6-2, while the Mariners outscored the Red Sox 10-6. So Seattle moves 1 game up on Houston for the top spot in the AL West. Guardians shut out the Tigers 5-0. Cleveland, the AL Central leaders, now tied with Philadelphia for baseball's best record.
Alabama 1st and 10 on the 12. Again, Houston. He's got a hole. He's over. Alabama touchdown.
I'm just wondering if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there. And I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you could pick up, you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to pick it, and our running back coach didn't take the pass. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. Welcome into the Martin Houston Show. It's a wild card Wednesday, but it's also time for Alabama football 2024. Wow. Hard to believe that it's here, but it is up on us, and we are ready to get it rolling right here. Truly a wild card Wednesday, man. Wherever the show goes, we'll let it roll. Yesterday kind of took on a life of his own as we had DC Capstone report on, and we were going to try to talk to him about what if Saban was leading this team. Would there be more excitement around it? Would you have similar expectations? What position groups are you watching and most excited about? Also, who's going to be your breakout player? We talked about Auburn recruiting, and we can talk about that even more. X, I know you were not on yesterday, and you had mentioned the possibility of Smith flipping, and he did. And then, of course, we thought Fagan maybe heading to Tuscaloosa, and he went to Auburn as well. So either the pocketbooks are out or the pressure's on, and you're looking at who's in front of you in Tuscaloosa, or maybe Hugh Freeze's philosophy of wrapping up the state of Alabama and not, and building his program around the state of Alabama and surrounding areas, surrounding states. Maybe it's working. And so all of that, and more is going to be a part of the conversation today. So we want to invite you to get in on it, and you can do that at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904. That is, that is the hotline that we would like to invite you to call us in on. Call in on 205-342-9904. Or as always, you can add your comments and your thoughts and your suggestions in the chat. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. got big news today. Have secured a new title sponsor. So we'll be introducing them to you today. So really excited about that partnership with this particular company. We're introducing them to you here later on in the program. And hey, listen, if you're out there looking for a great partnership to promote your business, you get great radio coverage, you get great social media coverage via my network and the channels that I broadcast on, plus the app. And I mean, there's so much coverage that happens here on the Martin Houston Show. Great prices, great rate, great value. So email martin@martinhouston.org if you're interested in joining our winning lineup and helping us build a roster that can win a championship for your business. So with that said, good morning, X. How you doing, sir?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing well. I guess since you're our in-house recruiting guru, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, but you may have a little different perspective. So what are your thoughts with the flips to Auburn? Two guys that were committed flipped. And then, of course, one guy that people thought since he decommitted, or I'm not sure if he was fully committed, what he was with USC, but in the younger brother of a former Tiger, right? Correct. His brother went to USC. They thought he was going to follow him. But, we don't know. But anyway, he ends up committed to Auburn. Huh?
Well, now older brother is at Traquan Fagans, who started off his career at Alabama, then transferred to USC. He is now at Central Florida.
I can't keep up with these kids. Once they leave Tuscaloosa, if I happen to run across them again, I will. Like I'll know where Caleb Downs is, but the rest of them, I probably if they jump ship again, I probably won't keep up with that. So last I heard he was at USC, but so I wasn't wrong in that. But now he's at Central Florida. So okay, all right. So any thoughts on that, man? Any thoughts on before we get into this Alabama football, man? It's crazy. Football is here.
Football is here, and it's one of those things when you look at it. Antonio Coleman, this is his third flip. He was Bama, then he was Auburn, then he flipped back to Bama, and now he's back at Auburn. And you know what? At this point, they can keep him. I don't know if that's what you want in your first recruiting class, a guy that's not going to be committed. Because what's he going to do when he gets here? He going to flip again? Yeah. That's how I look at it.
And I did not realize that his dad had played at Auburn too. So he's a legacy.
And he's a legacy. So it makes sense, And we're talking about Antonio Coleman, the defensive lineman out of Saraland High School. It is what it is with him. And then you look at Derek Smith, and I think that's more of the position that he wants to play at the collegiate level. Alabama's been recruiting him to play safety, and Auburn saying, hey, you can come here and play wide receiver. We've seen this before with guys. The reason we got Derrick Henry is because Coach Saban said, hey, you will play running back for me. And a lot of schools are wanting him to play linebacker, defensive end, and we see how that's worked out for him in his career. He'll retire, God forbid, without injury, as Alabama's all-time leading rusher in the NFL. So, he made the right decision for himself, and that's how you look at it with Derek Smith. But, guys, don't panic. Don't worry. Alabama is still sitting at the number 2 class in the country and still in play for some big names left in this recruiting process. We've got 20 recruits, so we've got 5 to 7 positions still there. We did lose Steve Mumba, the defensive lineman for the 2024 class, but he is committed to the 2025 class. And he's come out and said, hey, Bama didn't give up on me, so I'm not going to give up on them. So that's the quote unquote replacement for Antonio Coleman. So Alabama's still sitting nice and good there. So don't stress this out. Don't worry about it. Alabama is a national brand, and we're still able to reach outside the SEC, map and get guys in. We've got to win though. Alabama has to win with these guys to keep that going, of course, and I think Coach DeBoer can do that. So, hey, we're not winning the in-state battle, but guess what? Hugh Freeze can't recruit outside of the SEC. He's got 4 commits outside of the South, and 3 of those guys are from North Carolina and Maryland. So as long as we're able to continue, this is the first year for the staff. They're building the connections within the state. And go ahead and newsflash if you missed it, Bama's got probably the number 1 player in the 2027 class already committed to him from the state of Alabama and Barack Willis. So we're going to be okay.
All right, let's get to Pat. Pat, you're in with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, guys. I think that X is correct that we're going to have to wait till the fall when we start playing ball. That in order to finish filling out this class, I think he's going to wait on some really, really fine pieces, and that we're going to go after kids that have probably already committed other places, like, say, Ohio State University, in order to put the cherries on the top of this recruiting class. That with that number 1 quarterback from the state of Alabama, that X, do you think that's not possible? I mean, he's made 4 trips to Tuscaloosa.
You're talking about Naeem Offord?
Yes, sir.
I think he's still potentially in play. I think that's more of working against the family. There's been some noise through social media of a dad or an uncle that is really influential in his life that is not a big fan of Alabama and not really sure why, but I think that's what we're going to have to wait and see with him.
Yeah, but man, guys, I just think I want to know: do y'all think Super Joe is going to be the first fan for Fan Day, that he's going to spend at least 24 hours in line waiting to get Coach DeBoer's signature?
There's no reason to wait in line, Pat. Have you not heard?
No, what's the latest?
From my understanding, the autograph session is exclusive to Yay Alabama supporters. So if you want to be a fan on the field, you get in the game. I mean, I guess you're getting a Fan Day free, but and watch the open practice. But the autographs, from my understanding, is going to be, and I'll double check that, but heard it reported last night that it is going to be for those who are members of the Yay Alabama.
Well, that's,
Chase, have you heard that?
That's the way it should be. I agree with that 100%.
So if that's the case, Super Joe can camp out all he wants if he's not if he's not a member of Yay Alabama. Somebody better let him know.
Poor Super Joe. Man, hey, but look, man, hey, he is a diehard fan of that. Bless his heart. But anyway, hey, Martin, y'all have a blessed day. I just wanted to put that line in there for Super Joe. Hey, he needs to be calling back to this show. I miss these calls. But,
he appreciate you, Pat.
Yeah, y'all have a blessed day. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Pat. Hey, we're getting a break here. Coming back on the other side, we'll pick up the conversation around Alabama kicking off fall camp. I'll see if I can verify, but like I said, I heard it reported a couple of times yesterday. I have not read it, put my eyes on it myself, just hearing Tider Insider reported it. And Gary Harris, of course, who was on this show, sharing that they're doing some exclusive Yay Alabama on the field Fan Day. That doesn't mean that you can't get autographs somewhere else, but I think the on the field portion of Fan Day is that. We'll see if we can verify it on the other side. You listen to the Martin Houston Show. We got great news. We have a new title sponsor we'll be introducing you to during today's program, and you can join that winning lineup as well. Email Martin at Martin Houston if you and or organization you know that would be a great partner for us. We'd love to hear from you. Roll Tide. We'll be back on the other side right here on the Martin Houston Show, powered by. Oh, I have to tell you on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. This Wednesday morning is dawning free and clear. If anything to get upset about on the traffic front, you're moving nicely on 2059 between Foster's and Cottondale, down from Northport via Lurling Wallace as you cross over the Hugh Thomas Bridge. Down
is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
This report is sponsored by Compassion International.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Good morning. Heat advisory is in effect until 9 p.m. tonight. Heat index values reaching 108 today. Going to be hot and humid. Partly sunny skies. Highs near 95. Stay hydrated. Take frequent breaks if you're going to be outdoors. Tonight, expect partly cloudy skies with a low near 75. Slight chance of an isolated shower or storm early Thursday morning. Otherwise, tomorrow will be mostly sunny with highs near 95. I'm meteorologist Bill Murray on Tide 100.9.
Keep it locked into Tide 100.9 for more of the Martin Houston Show with Martin Houston and X's and O's Sports Xavier Houston.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. And it is now the Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care. That's Box Eye Care. Dr. Daniel Box and his team located at 503 Baxter Drive in Tuscaloosa, right next, or actually in between, if you're looking at Met Center South and Outback off of 69. You can check out all of their great information at boxeyecare.com. That's boxeyecare.com. So we welcome Dr. Daniel Box, Box Eye Care, as the title sponsor of the Martin Houston Show. So it's Martin Houston Show powered by Box Eye Care. Welcome to the team. All right, X, how you doing, man? You ready? All right.
Hey, let's rock it.
Let's rock it. All right. So as we roll forward this morning, just looking at, Alabama football and Fan Day, and I didn't have time to verify it by reading. Chase, if you check on that for me as we go throughout the program. But like I said, it was being reported that Fan Day taking a little step. And hey, listen, it's going to cost you a little something now to be a fan, if you want something back other than just to go out. I wonder what they'll do with the A-Day next year. You think A-Day may have a little bit of that in it next year? So it's possible. It's possible. Hey, listen, man, they're having to pay some bills now. It's not just how much money they bring in. They're having to give some of that money back out. And it's not just about football. It's all the other sports. Football makes plenty of money to take care of itself. But when football has to fund all the other sports, I guess football may have to add a way to do that. We're talking Alabama football, looking at what you want to talk about and see. But before we get into our thoughts and comments, we got J-Rob on the line. J-Rob, you're in with Martin and Xavier. What's on your mind, sir?
Good morning, guys. I hope everybody's doing well.
Doing well.
Morning.
Hey, Martin, are you going to venture out to the practice field today and watch practice?
Actually, I have a meeting this morning. This morning, so I will not see practice this morning. It's gonna be weird. It's gonna be weird. You're thinking they're gonna be practicing this afternoon, but no, they're gonna be practicing here in in a couple hours. It like all of the guys except for me, pretty much me and Barry. I guess Wimp and Barry. I guess they could have a little bit of coverage, I guess, potentially But the shows after that will have some actual conversation about that day's practice.
They'll be able to have firsthand information.
Huh?
They'll be able to have firsthand information, new, hot off the presses.
Yeah. Hey, Chase. Now, who's responsible for going out there this morning?
That's a good question. They haven't. They haven't told me. I kind of feel, a little slighted by that, but I don't know. I'll probably have more information later on. I might reveal it. We'll see. Keep in tune.
Okay. Yeah, but they're taking the field this morning, and the good part is that they'll be done and over with, and it won't be as hot, and maybe you can get more out of it. And some people may be concerned, but they're going to have to play in the heat. Yeah, but if you get your conditioning right, you can't prepare for the heat that you feel in the intensity of a game anyway. So hopefully they have, they've worked these guys really hard, and they'll be ready for the heat and the exhaustion and all that stuff when they actually start playing these games. Well, it looks like a lot of Alabama games may end up being night games, so not in the heat of the day. So. You got anything else for J-Rob?
Yeah, I heard Fowler's going to be out there for sure, and I heard Wyatt will be out there also. So I know those two guys will be covering it. But I want to talk about the excitement that's in the program versus what it would have been as Coach Saban. It's an exciting part of the year every year. Everybody's hopeful and optimistic and got high expectations, and even if it's Coach Saban or Coach DeBoer. But the thing about it this year is it seems that everybody feels more at ease in the building from what I hear, and that it's a lot more friendly in the complex. That's what I'm hearing, but I don't think the excitement's any more, any less. I have cautious optimism. I'm excited. I'm excited for the new system and the new coach, and I have a lot of more expectations than the media group did from SEC media days. That's for sure.
Yeah, they didn't give us a whole lot of love at SEC media days, and that's fine. That's understandable. But Ash, what are your thoughts in terms of the excitement level and would this team, with Saban at helm, would this team, everything else being the same, the recruiting from the summer, the excitement around the programs, the maturation of the guys, just the feeling of like leadership that you have that's really established on this team, do you think that this team would be being talked about as the, one or two option for the national title?
I think there would be different expectations, not outside of the Alabama fan base.
Right, that's what I'm talking about, not us. Yeah.
Yeah, we still want national championships, and I think we're going to be excited to get that done. But outside of the fan base, I think it probably would be a little bit different expectations, even with this exact same team that we have here right now. I think the thought process would be national championship or bust. And I think we're still going to be wanting that as the fan base. So, yeah, definitely a different level of expectation.
J-Rob, which group you watching? Which group you most excited about?
Well, I'm excited about seeing how this offensive line comes together with, Caden Proctor coming back. I'm hoping that it'll be better all the way around. And then we got some quality backups if they don't, a quality center. And that's the group I'm most excited about, and the running backs. But y'all keep up the good work. Y'all doing a good job. Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
Right.
All right. We'll jump on the offensive line since that's what he brought up. As you and Chase, when you look at this offensive line, what do you think is going to be the biggest step forward from last year's group? Because a lot of people are beginning to feel like we're going to be better in the offensive line. why, and how do you think we're going to be better?
I agree. I think we will be a little bit better in the offensive line. And where I think we see the biggest jump in the offensive line is these guys are in better shape. These guys aren't as big as they were last year, and that's all of them. That doesn't matter if we're talking about Proctor or Booker, Jaden Roberts, they call him the Hulk for a reason. Then you look at guys like Parker Brailsford, the size that they say he's added throughout this offseason. I think you'll see that be beneficial. And then you look at the right tackle position. Is it Formby or is it Pritchett? Who's going to get the first nod there? And I think those guys are just going to get a little bit better what we've seen out of them as well.
Yeah. Chase, you have any thoughts on that? Why you think this offensive line? I agree that they're going to be I don't know if they're in better shape cardio-wise. They're going to be more agile and mobile and all of that stuff, in my opinion, simply based on what I've seen from the situation with the loss of weight and all of that. And then you have other guys who've put on weight. You have Formby, who supposedly has gotten a little bigger, and Brailsford, who's put on weight. So lots of good things happening around that.
Yeah, I'm really interested, specifically in the offensive line. I'm glad J-Rob had brought that up. Shout out to him. It's going to be interesting because I know with Caden Proctor, with Brailsford, with Booker, I think they're going to be one of the top offensive linemen in the country. I think if they're able to hold up and give Jalen Monroe some time and let the offense cook, I think you're going to see a different style of play from Crimson Tide than obviously what you've seen from Nick Saban, but I think it's going to be good under DeBoer because, we're excited to see what they can put on the table and just ready for the season to start. But, yeah, offensive line I'm going to be curious about. Wyatt had gave a great analysis yesterday on his show about the offensive line and like the woes and the pros and the cons about it. But yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, what were some of the cons that he gave? If you can remember, I didn't get to hear his show, but that'd be interesting.
Yeah, he just felt that if one guy goes out, there's not a lot of depth behind it. It just feels like a lot of the eldermen, like the juniors and seniors of the offensive line, are going to have to stay healthy. There's a lot of true freshmen are going to have to step in if they get injured. Like say Booker goes out, you have a true freshman coming in to play against Georgia, and playing against Georgia is no easy feat. So I think it's going to be tested for sure, the offensive line. But I think if they were to hold up game to game, then I think the success of the Crimson Tide is going to go a lot further and a lot farther than what people think.
Yeah, and I can see why he says that. We'll pick up on the offensive line there, but I think that I don't think the true freshman's coming in that sense. I'll tell you my thoughts because we're up against a break, but I'll tell you my thoughts on the offensive line coming back on the other side and let you guys respond to that, because I think that there's probably going to be 5 really good guys, and one guy may not start because he can be a swing guy. I tell you who that is. There's a guy who I think kind of becomes the backup. And then there's another freshman that if he wasn't redshirt freshman, if he wasn't playing behind probably the 2 best guards in the country, he'd probably be a guy that we would believe in. I'll give you my thoughts on those guys coming back on the other side. As we go to break, one more time, I want to welcome our newest team member, and that is Box Eye Care. Dr. Daniel Box is the new title sponsor for the Martin Houston Show.
Also offer custom screen printing. Let Eyecatchers print shirts for your next event. 345-7762. Eyecatchers Screen Printing and Gifts, where getting seen becomes an art.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow truck, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. And now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's Move Over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on.
Your order is backed with a 90-day guarantee.
All dogs are unique. Your dog results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. We're live, local, and ready to get things rolling, and we appreciate you being up and at 'em with us this morning. We're talking about the offensive line, X, and we're going to keep that conversation rolling. But before we do that, I want to thank you for your support for Taco Casa. Taco Casa, quality, taste, and value under the biggest cactus in town. Go check them out for lunch and or dinner. Taco Casa. 6 locations in Tuscaloosa, West Alabama, to better serve you. Also one in off of Lakeshore Drive up in Birmingham. That's Taco Casa, tacocasa.com. All right, X, let me give you my thoughts really on the offensive line, and we'll kind of rapid fire some of the other groups. But when you look at this offensive line, and I get the initial thoughts on the pros and cons, so I'll address that. But X, the reason I think they're going to be better is they're just going to – where were we bad at last year? Pass pro, right?
Right.
So where we will be better just right off the bat is pass pro, and we'll be better for pass pro because I think they're in better shape, better feet, better hands, all that good stuff, better coaching. Coach Cap can coach O-line. We thought Woodard could, but, hey, listen, he was a run coaching guy, and we still didn't dominate in the run game, but I think part of that was we couldn't get to the angles and different things as good as we wanted to. So I think they're going to be better even in the run blocking. But I think play calling will help this offensive line more than anything. And hopefully they can teach concepts, X, about you don't get beat to the inside. Do you understand? We were still trying to teach Caden Proctor that by the end of the year. That is absolutely crazy to me. We talk a lot about the center position not being able to fix a snap. They couldn't fix the Proctor in the inside gap thing all year, right? So, and I know we have some inexperience after those 5. I think Wilkin Formby and Elijah Pritchett are going to be so close. I think Wilkin wins out, X. But I think the other reason Wilkin may win out, and I think this guy's going to play a lot because this coaching staff is going to get ready in case there is an injury, even if it's 1 or 2 plays, 1 or 2 series in a game, etc. I think Elijah Pritchett becomes a swing guy because he can play left and right. I do not think Wilkin is a left tackle. So I think that in one way, and I'm not sure Elijah couldn't play guard too, but then I think Gino Vandermark is the guy that comes in instead of a freshman. I think he has all 3 middle positions. I think he may not be listed that way. Rock Montgomery may be listed that way. McVay, I think, is a capable backup. Not necessarily a guy you're going to go to a national championship with at this point, but one of these guys could be like Jordan Roberts. Everybody, you remember where Jordan Roberts was listed, X, going into last year?
3rd string.
He was a 3rd string guard. Could Rock Montgomery, one of those guys, be that type of talent? I think so. And a guy that I think if he was playing behind any other 2 guys or these 2 guys weren't here, we would not have much worry. I think Olaf is a talent. Olaf Allen, I think he's a talent. I think the guy,
Aileen.
Aileen. I think he is. I think he can play. He's a redshirt freshman, 6'6", 326. So, do I want to go to war with those guys? Absolutely not necessarily. I want to go to war with the guys I have, but I think we have some guys behind them that may have a little bit more experience than a little more talent than we think. So, any comments on that? Any reaction to that?
No, I agree with you. I think at the end of the day, when things all shake out, you'll see. I think Wilkin does have the slight edge after having worked as the number one right tackle all spring. Of course, I think Pritchett pushes him. As you see Caden get reintegrated with the offensive line, I think he will be Alabama's starting left tackle, especially with his weight loss, the size and that he has. And then Geno Vandermark, I think he might be the Tyler Booker that we saw a couple years ago before Booker became the full-time starting guard. And we'll see a lot of him in different ways.
You know who Vandermark reminds me of?
Landon Dickerson.
Landon Dickerson, a guy who was talented and gifted, but really didn't get to play a lot where he was at because of injury. Played a lot, but never really solidified himself as that dominant guy, but has all the traits to be a dominant guy. And so I will be shocked if we don't see him, as you said, working in there some and used in special ways so that he's acclimated to the speed of the SEC game. So those are my thoughts there. Next, what's your next group that you're looking at?
Now, I want to see these wide receivers. I think this is an extremely talented group. I think there's a lot of youth there. I want to see are the three guys that we see coming out the same three guys that we see in the spring, and of course that is Bernard, Law, and Prentice. And then how does Ryan Williams work himself into the rotation? How does Caleb Odom work himself in the rotation? Guys that you don't really talk a lot about. The Cole Adams, who had a great spring. The Bubba Hamiltons, who I've heard a lot of great things about. What's that rotation and what ends up being the actual rotation and who falls where on the depth chart? Emmanuel Henderson, a lot of so much talent in this room.
Yeah, do you think Emmanuel Henderson finally breaks into that rotation? And man, he's such a deep ball threat. And with the way this offensive team calls plays from the past, is Emmanuel Henderson the guy with the potential to not lead the team in yards per se, but to have the breakout type of a season? Or is it a guy like Jalen Hale? Who do you think becomes the Jameson Williams of this group? Because the guys you named, they're all good, but I don't think Bernard or Law or Prentice is going to be the deep ball guy. Is it Odom? Who do you think becomes that consistent threat?
I mean, that's a great question. If I'm looking at this wide receiving room, Law's going to be my gadget guy. If we don't use him, I mean, he's nicknamed Debo for a reason. The way that the 49ers use Debo Samuels, I think that's a waste of talent. Then you look. I think Prentice and Bernard are going to be the guys that you go to when you need a first down, when you need a catch. Henderson is in prime position to be the deep ball threat, and I hope that's what we get to see. Him or Ryan, one of those two guys, I think end up being the deep ball threat.
Yeah, it's crazy to think we don't have necessarily all these proven talent guys, but that room is deep. Law, I think Williams, I think we see him just. It's hard to believe that this kid should be playing against high school kids, but we're going to see him just slowly work himself into more and more PT on that side. I think they use him in this kicking game early on. I think Henderson finds a role. Bernard, I think, is proven that he's going to be one of Jalen's go-to guys. Prentice X just needs to show he can be consistent all year. He's had 2 years, to me, where he's good, but he's not week in and week out good, if that makes sense. It's like he flashes and then he goes away, then he flashes and he goes away. If he can become consistent, that would be huge. Cole Adams is going to be fun to watch. The guy is one of those guys that I think he's going to be, and I always hate saying this because it feels like you're saying because he's a white guy. That's not the purpose. Renfro from from Clemson a few years ago, that just nobody was recruiting him. Nobody was wanting him. Nobody was talking about him. And he just kept getting better. And he was so good that you had to get him on the field. Then when you got him on the field, you saw that he was just a matchup nightmare. And I saw some of that in Cole Adams this spring, X.
Yeah, and I think he's another guy that gets used in the return game as well with his ability to return kicks. I think there's a lot of things that you can really see in a lot of different ways. These guys will be used, and it's going to be a blast.
Yeah, then you got Jalen Hale, Amari Jefferson, Caleb Odom, Bub Hampton. There's a slew of guys that all of them won't get out there this year, or maybe they will with this offense. Who knows? I think Caleb Odom is going to give us a nightmare matchup as well. I think he's going to be that typical tight end formation sometimes. But it's going to be sort of, to me, in some ways, not putting this much pressure on the kid, but Brock Bowers type of player in terms of just heart. He's going to be too big for a safety and too fast for a linebacker.
100%.
Yeah. So looking forward to that. What's the group that you think is getting overlooked? And we'll Scotty's not going to be on, so I'm going to do the Christian moment of the week on the other side. We're going to go ahead and get the break, but X, I'm going to get you just a few thoughts on which group you think is being overlooked as we head into spring the most. Which group is being overlooked? So we'll talk about that and a couple other things on the other side of the break. This is the Martin Houston Show. Want to encourage you, hey, go out and check out athletesthread.com/collections /Martin-Houston and get your officially licensed Alabama Always Martin Houston Legacy Collection and more. You can get the Legacy Collection and hats, shirts, jersey, I mean, you name it, hoodies. You can also get the Make Fullbacks Great Again and then just other Martin Houston co-branded, officially licensed Alabama swag at athletesthread.com /collections /Martin-Houston. We'll be back on the other side to keep the conversation rolling right here on your home for Alabama sports.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
Tuscaloosa traffic now from the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center. The T-Town traffic map looks pretty clear as we aren't monitoring any major accidents or breakdowns. No heavy interstate backups either. If you're traveling McFarland Boulevard, coming down from Buell and Coker, crossing down to U of A and I-20 beyond that, you're in good shape. No problems on 2059 and the drive on Lurling Wallace as well. Mostly quiet trip around the region. With your Tuscaloosa traffic now, I'm Ray Romero.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. A heat advisory is in effect until 9 o'clock tomorrow night for potential heat indices upwards of 109 degrees. Those high heat indices are expected to last through the end of the week, so limit your time outdoors, take frequent breaks, stay hydrated, and do not leave humans and pets in an unattended vehicle. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news, sports, and weather coverage all throughout the day. It's absolutely free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of The Game, we're going to recap practice because we will be there 9 a.m. on the campus of the University of Alabama. Kalen DeBoer talks following practice. We'll cut some of that up. We'll make a great conversation starting at 2 p.m. We'll feature Aaron Torres, Fox Sports national analyst, and a lot more of your phone calls right here on The Game on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC, your home of Alabama Crimson Tide Sports.
The longest running sports program.
Perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't lose your hard-earned money. Learn to protect yourself at asc.alabama.gov. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Come back into the Martin Houston Show, powered by Box Eye Care. Dr. Daniel Box and his team are waiting to serve you at their new location, located off of Baxter Drive. Go check them out. You can find more information at boxeyecare.com. All right, X, which group do you think is going to or has been the most overlooked kind of as we go into this fall camp? Nobody's really talking about that could have a really, really good season.
The tight end position. I think that has probably been the least talked about position group on the offensive side of the ball. And that's just because, Bama's got a lot of things going on elsewhere. When you talk about how deep the running backs are, the wide receivers are, talk about the improvement of the offensive line, the quarterback room, and where those guys are coming back. So I think that's probably the least talked about. And I think that's a really good room at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's exactly who that was my group that I was thinking that is been kind of overlooked. Which guy do you think ends up having the best year when you look at that particular group? Who's going to be that guy that jumps off the page for you?
I think it has to be C.J. Dupree. I think he improves on his role last year, as well as with Jalen Milroe improving as a passer in the intermediate passing game. I think that opens the door for him to step in and make some big plays throughout the season for us. Then, of course, I want to see how Robbie Oots is used in this system, and Danny Lewis. It's a deep position. At the end of the day, it's just going to be interesting how all those guys are used in this new scheme.
Yeah, it really is. And we're going to keep the conversation rolling on that group. But, when you talk about that particular group, X, lots of talent. And a guy who was watching practice that I talked with the other day said that in the goal line situation, Oots caught touchdown passes. So, when they got down close to the goal line. So it'd be interesting to see using him as a blocker and a decoy, and nobody covers him and him off in the flat. So that would be as kind of that wing back position. I also think you have to throw Caleb Odom into that hybrid type role because, as I mentioned, I think he's going to be a guy that you see, move into that role some. So. Anything else you got before you get ready to get out of here?
No, that's it. I'm excited. Football is back. We've got the Hall of Fame game, I think, tomorrow. So we're really back in the swing of things, and it's the best time of the year in the state of Alabama.
Yep, absolutely. So thank you guys for being part of the program with us as we get ready to move forward. We're going to transition. Thanks, X. Thanks, Chase. Appreciate you guys. Thanks to all the callers. it's now time for the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week. And I'm going to hit that real quick. Thank you so much. I want to share with you just a verse out of Ephesians 3:2. It says, now to him who is able to do far more abundantly than all that we ask or think, according to the power at work within us, to him be glory in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations, forever and ever. You know, as I look at, our current situation as a nation, I don't know if you guys feel the same way I do. At times, I feel like at times that, there's just not a lot of excitement or hope about the direction of our nation. And some of us have given up hope on the direction that it's headed in. But I would tell you, much like a football player or any athlete goes through their playbook, and they have to kind of hone in on that playbook and learn what the playbook says. Then when they get out on the field, they have to trust what they've learned. It's too late to be questioning, wondering in the heat of the battle. When it's the first quarter, you may can get away with not being as sharp. But in the fourth quarter, when the heat's really on, or it's a goal line situation or a short yardage situation or whatever, in those intense moments is when it matters what you've put inside of you and what you believe. And oftentimes, because you've put in the work, you're able to achieve more than you thought possible. Well, for us as Christians and as believers, it's what we put inside of us and what we believe that is going to come out in those intense moments. We are a country divided right now, and it's just bad. And there's no two ways around saying that. We are more Democrat and Republican than we are anything. Black people are more Democrat than they are black, and white people are more Republican than they are white, and white people are more Democrat than they are white, and black people that are Republicans are more Republican than they are black. So I just want everybody to understand it's on both sides. The reality is that's why you need something outside of yourself and outside of them that sets the standard. And that standard for me is Jesus. That's why you need a God outside of our standard, because they're right, I'm right, you're wrong, they're wrong, I'm wrong, you right? So who sets the standard? I believe it is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And that's where we need to turn as a nation. And listen to this, even though it seems difficult, even though it seems impossible, even though it seems like very unlikely, we can't be the United States of America, but we can't get there on our own. The only one that can get us there is Jesus. And I know it's hard to believe, but listen to this. He is able to do far more abundantly than all we can ask or think, more than all we can ask or imagine, according to the power that is worked within us, to the glory of in the church and in Christ Jesus throughout all generations. So if he's ever done it in the past, he can do it again now. All you need to do is trust him, lean on him, depend on him. But most of all, imagine. My challenge to you today is imagine a United States of America where we can actually have conversations and talk and be united. Because that's what I love about sports, Chase, is you can take a bunch of guys from a bunch of different places, and when they get a common goal, they can unite around it, and then they fight against the common enemy. And in our country, the parties have become the enemies versus the economic situation versus, the crime situation versus the job opportunity. The parties have become the enemies versus the things that we should be united around. And that's just making things better for all the citizens of the United States of America. The only one who can help us get there is Jesus. And he is not a party affiliate. Do some parties lean more toward what Jesus believes from a social gospel standpoint? Yes. Did one party lean more toward the moral gospel? Yeah. So that means that some people going to believe one way or the other, right? But what's your goal? The goal is that we be the United States of America that's helping its citizens be the best it can be. The only one who can do that, in my opinion, is my Lord and Savior, and I hope he's your Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So today, if you can imagine it, if you can think it, ask it, and then he'll do even more than you can ask or think. Hey, this has been the Martin Houston Show. Scotty Hollins will be back with us next week. This has been the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week. Come check us out at Harvest Church, located in Coker, Alabama, 10 a.m. worship service. And tonight, we're going to be at the venue over on Watermelon Road across from the rodeo, just past Sokol Park, right there on the left at 6:30, a worship time, encounter worship service. So come join us there. And by the way, the venue is joining our roster of lineups as well. So we got some good things going. If you want to join that winning roster, join the Martin Houston. Email Martin at martinhouston.org to join this winning lineup. Hey, thanks. Appreciate it. I have a meeting this morning, so no OT today, but we will be back bright and early tomorrow with more. And we may even do just a special show today just to announce what's happening over at the Capstone at the Mouth Moore facility. Remember this, trust in the Lord always, lean not your own understanding, always acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Roll Tide, everybody.